Thank you so much, Sneha, for for accepting the talk and share your experience with the audience. Thank you so much. And to everyone, this is Sneha. She is doing her PhD in entomology, so she will be sharing her experience with us today. So Sneha, so you can start. Like you can talk about your background, and you can talk about your research, and yeah, please.
Yeah, okay. So thank you, Afnas, for organizing this meeting. I think I was the first person to reach out to you because
Yeah.
I kind of came across your video on my homepage and I liked how you were interacting with PhD students around the world. And I think very few people do that. And I think it's very important because very few people know about research, and very few people obviously have the time to post about what our work entails, right, on online. And I feel like you have a really nice way of doing it, so I was really excited to collaborate with you and talk to you because I'm also really passionate about student mentorship and guidance and like education at large, higher education. So I also like have reached out to students around the world, and I like chatting with them, so which is why I wanted to do this. So apart from that, I'm um, uh, a PhD candidate in the US. I also am a graduate research assistant or a GRA, which is like a job that you do, and that's what funds your PhD tuition in the US. So yeah, you can. So I work as a GRA, and I'm also a PhD student, and now I'm a PhD candidate in my fourth year at West Virginia University, which is the um, state university in West Virginia in the US. So my field is in entomology. So I have a PhD in entomology, but it has applications in agriculture. So you can say that it's sort of interdisciplinary in terms of it being related to different fields in natural sciences. So like I study insects, so you can say entomology, but I study the ecology of insects, which is the relationship of that insect with its environment. So you can also say it's ecology. And because this application is important in agriculture, because I'm looking at uh, insects that are beneficial for agriculture, you can also say it's agricultural sciences. But yeah, so um yeah, what else? I'm also passionate about teaching, and I'm also taking a graduate certificate in university teaching. I love teaching and mentorship as much as I like doing my particular like science. Before starting my PhD in 2022, I've also had around 4 to 5 years of work experience in the research field in Bangalore, in India. So I worked as a junior research fellow in entomology lab, which where they had projects related to insect ecology and diversity and conservation. So 4 years of work experience there made me realize, okay, I want to stay in like research, and yeah, I'm here doing that.
Yeah. So can you explain a little more about the application process, how you found your PhD person and how you applied your for a PhD?
Yeah, that's a great question because it's like I said, it's never like uh, the same process right throughout. It's like it depends on the country, it depends on the field, it depends on your personal like achievements and how which lab you're applying to and so many things. And no one ever has like I've seen one paper that has like the it's actually an academic paper that says like all the steps that you need to do to apply for a PhD, but I think it's more catered to US universities. So for me, personally, and everyone has like their own personal experience. So for me, it was I actually just kind of fell into it. Like I never thought I will do a PhD like growing up or even in up until masters. But after masters, when I got a job in a research lab, I understood like this is how research works, and this you can actually build a career out of it, and you can If you want to go into depth in that particular research topic, you have to do a PhD. So I first cleared my UGC net exam because I realized in India you have to have good, like, a scholarship to do a PhD. So otherwise you can like reach out to professors, but they need funding for you, and most of it is usually funded by the government. So I wrote my UGC exam and I only cleared up until like the first level, so the assistant professorship level. After that, I did not get the GRF. I only gave around two attempts. So after that, I was uh, more focused on my job rather than studying for the exam. So I got this junior research fellow position and I was working there, and I had the opportunity to do my PhD in that same lab. Um, but I had to like work on my chapters and like figure out funding sources, which I was kind of um not very capable at that moment. I was like all on my own. So I wanted more guidance in terms of the subject and just the PhD in general. And at that time, I had people. I knew people who were doing a PhD in the US, and I heard from them that in the US the like program is more like very structured compared to PhDs in India, and you will have like dedicated coursework, and which is like going to be useful for you. And the guide, your PhD guide and you will together work to get funding. So basically, you don't have to write an entrance exam and all of that. And in that year, it was right after COVID, like 2 years after COVID. So the GRE exam was also optional in the US. So that was like a big, like, oh, GRE, you don't need GRE exam. So I was like, okay, that like kind of motivated me because I'm like, I have a fear of like writing entrance exams. So I was like, okay, this is great. I don't have to write GRE. I just need to contact professors. So contacting professors is the biggest like step, and it's very time consuming. So to put it into like a small uh, you know thingy, to cut it short, basically I uh, spent around like 3 months contacting professors by like cold emailing and all that. And I also looked at Twitter. At that time it was called Twitter, and then I looked at LinkedIn, and it was crazy, it was stressful that period. Finally I found my professor's tweet, um, and she was looking for someone, so I just emailed her. And since our backgrounds matched, we spoke on Zoom like this, and we she after that she gave me a green signal, which is very important, because if you don't have that professor's green signal, you there is no point applying to a college. uh, Mostly depends again on the college and how they accept PhD students. So after that, I had to submit my application, my CV, and my, I ironically I had to submit my GRE scores because the university that she is in needed GRE. So not all universities have cancelled out GRE yet, but yeah, majority have. But my current university needed GRE, so then I had to study for GRE, and then I submitted my GRE scores, and then I got the offer from the university where I'm currently working.
Oh, okay. So you already mentioned something related to your PhD structure as well. So can you
Mhm.
elaborate a little more about that? Like how long your PhD is and what is the structure of your PhD?
Yeah, that's also a great question. So you in the US, like I said, because it's very course heavy, like you have to complete a set number of credits, and a set number of courses in order to get a PhD. So because of that, you will have at least around 1 to 2 years of coursework, depending on your field and the university. Um, so since it's going to be 1 to 2 years of coursework, and then again you have to start writing your thesis, and if you have experiments going on, you have to do that. You have lab work, so it will uh, take you a minimum of 3 4 years. I have not seen anyone finish their PhD in the US in 3 years, but 4 years is very possible. And then right after your coursework, again depending on the program, you have to clear a candidacy exam. So in most universities, after you pass this candidacy exam, from that day you have 5 years to finish the PhD. So people don't take 5 years after candidacy exam. Usually after candidacy exam, it's usually 2 years or three maximum. So yeah, you can say on an average 4 to 5 years, but I've not. It can go beyond five too. But yeah, it can't go beyond 5 years after candidacy exam. In total, it can go beyond five, but after candidacy exam, you have only 5 years.
Okay. And is there any criteria for publishing this many papers or something?
No, fortunately, no. You don't have to. I mean, it's good practice to publish papers, but
Yeah.
you don't have any criteria as such. In India, I think in some universities there is a criteria that
Yeah.
have to. What about in
The,
Australia?
so in Australia is like so if professor demand that is you need at least maybe one or two publication, so that time we have to. Otherwise, no. So we can submit like so there are two options to submit our thesis. Thesis based on publications or thesis based on chapters. So it's
Mm,
up to us actually. So if we have maybe one or two publication, we can just add that one as chapters.
mm,
Otherwise, we may have to write by our own. So that's
mm.
the thing. And in my
Okay.
case, my professor demand for two publication. So yeah, we have to. I have to work on that.
Yeah. I mean, you might as well, if you're anyway writing your thesis, that same thing can be, tweaked into a publication, right? So, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. And so I forgot the question. So
Sorry.
yeah. So how do they evaluate your PhD then? So you already said that you don't have to be publish any papers. So how do they
Mhm.
evaluate? Is it just thesis or the final thesis
Yeah.
defense or something?
Yeah, good question. To evaluate, firstly, you will be eligible to attend this candidacy exam only if you finish this number of credits that is required for your program. And then after that, you will have, in my case, again, depending on your program and university, you have to submit a research proposal um, th- uh, around your candidacy time. This was for me and specific to my department. This can change from field to departments to university. And yeah, so after you submit your proposal, which is kind of like your thesis, but you're just saying that I will do this and I'm expecting this. So it will have like a introduction and objectives and methods, but it won't have results. That's your proposal. So you submit this proposal, you attend the candidacy exam, which is basically, it's like an interview with your doctoral committee. I don't know if it's the same in Australia, but doctoral committee is usually like a committee of professors who are going to guide you apart or including your advisor or your guide. So that committee will sit and interview you and ask you like, okay, your plans, and they can ask you questions even related to the field, like what are your opinions about this, what are your future plans. They can even ask you very like uh, you know uh, technical things like in statistics or related to your field, and you have to answer your best, and then they will pass, or they will usually pass because it's almost after your coursework and almost after you write your proposal, so you know almost everything about your field. And after you pass that, so that is also like a evaluation, I feel. To answer your question, like passing the candidacy is almost like more than half the job done, because by then you already know what you're going to do, and you know what your expected results are. And then after that, you just have to compile all of this and submit a thesis. And the thesis would be an extension of your proposal. You will be adding and changing stuff, updating stuff. And then after that, once they say that your thesis is good to go, you can now present your thesis, you can defend it to the general public. and then one, which is like a presentation you make to the general public and your department. After you pass that, you can, earn your doctorate. So I think these are the steps, if I haven't missed out anything, that they use for evaluation.
Yeah, right. So after you submit your thesis, will that be evaluated by your professors, or will they send to other professors outside your university?
Yeah, they don't send it outside. They just have like an internal evaluation.
Yeah.
And yeah, and by the time you're sending this thesis to your doctoral committee, right, your own guide would have looked at it and, uh, works with you to make it better. And then your doctoral committee gives like very few suggestions, because they don't really know exactly what you have done more than your guide, right? They're like experts in the discipline, but they don't know your exact topic, so they're just going to give some comments. And hopefully it's not huge comments that you have to rework on. So it's important. That's actually a great question, to have like regular meetings with your doctoral committee, so that it's not a surprise at the end. Your thesis should not be a surprise. So like maybe at least like 2-3 months before you submit your thesis, it's good to just, ask them, hey, this is like my thesis, like, what are your thoughts? And hopefully there's not much changes. And I've not heard of any external evaluator, but if you have a committee member from some other university, maybe it can, that could make like that would mean that your thesis is going to the other university, right? But I've not seen them inviting also external evaluators. But I feel like, I think it's a good. I've seen that happen in India. I don't know if you've seen, like, during the defense, like an external evaluator comes and
Mm.
sits, and yeah,
Yeah, right, right. And so it's almost finishing, right? You already completed, almost completing your 4 years. And
yeah,
so what is your future plan then after
yeah.
PhD?
It's I haven't really like thought about what exactly I want to do, because I'm open to things. Generally, as a person, I don't want to like stick to one thing. Um, After I finish this PhD, I want to like explore things, because I've been working like nonstop after my masters. So I really want to like take a break in terms of like just being open to things. So I'm open to like a teaching job. Um, I'm open to, so like being a teaching professor or a lecturer, and I'm also like open to, going into the industry. But again, depending on what role it is, like if
Right.
it's something related to teaching, outreach, science communication in the industry, it's fine. Um, so yeah, I'm just like very excited to explore what's out there. I'm just being positive because, like the job market and everything, and being like an immigrant outside of your country, it's tough. So I just want to see what's there and what's available, and yeah, that's what I'm
That's
planning.
great. Great plan, actually. So I'm also thinking same in the same way, actually. I'm open to
Also,
anything after PhD.
I know, right? Like, yeah,
And so the last question is like, so do you have any advice to give the PhD aspirants out there?
yeah. I think it's you PhD aspirants, I guess. If you're already aspiring for a PhD, then there's no one who's going to stop you, not even yourself. Because I think very few people aspire for a PhD when they're like young, right? You usually just, after your graduation, you're like, okay, what next, and then you realize, oh, you can. Because I've seen very few kids growing up saying, I want to be. They say I want to be a scientist, or I want to be like, but they never think about this whole PhD process that they have to go through. You know, so yeah, I think. But yeah, but if you're already aspiring for a PhD, uh, just be open to things, I guess. If you, yeah, and you can reach out to people who are willing to help others, and ask them like, what, how does the journey look like in that particular institute or country before you step into this 5 years commitment. Um, because you have like a personal life as well. It's not just, your work life. So you need to plan ahead for 5 years, like if you're going to be okay moving abroad, um you know s- potentially settling there, and then managing your personal life. So it's important to ask alumni or seniors before you move out of either your country or join any university, even if it's in your country, to see how the program is. And if you ever in that process realize this is not for me, you can leave, and it's normal, because it's at the end of the day it's another job. So because like I've seen people who struggle during their PhD program, and by the end of it we're like, oh, just let's finish it. But like, yeah, if anywhere at the start of it you feel like this is not for me, just it's fine to discontinue. So my advice is to just, yeah, take it slow, and it's worth it, because the 5 years of training, 3 to 5 years of training is worth it, worth all the hard work. But also it's not like very serious also. It's, don't take it that seriously.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's really a good advice to everyone. So thank you so much, Neha, for sharing
Yeah,
your
thank you.
experience and your opinion, and yeah, your suggestions as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you for those great questions. Yeah. I
Yeah,
It made me think about my program also. I was like, okay, now I have to go find out about things.
right, right, right.